What's up, guys, and welcome to another Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, break them down, and tell you what we think about them. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. So today I'm going to talk about a movie. Of course, the sequel comes out this week. That, of course, is 2017's reboot or remake, whatever you want to call it, of It, and it's It Chapter 1, which is what I'm going to talk about today. And It Chapter 1 is a movie that surprised a lot of people and made a ton of money and was considered now one of the best adaptations to Stephen King's works. And the reason for that is you got a strong cast, you got a director that really took the material seriously, and it's just an all-around creepy, horrifying movie just led by just fantastic actors and actresses. And it's a movie that not only was I surprised about because I love the original, but kind of made the original not that great. If you go back and watch the Tim Curry original it's really not that good anymore. It's really surprising how dated it is. And it's not to take away from what Tim Curry has done as Pennywise, but Bill Skarsgård just completely knocks him out of the water. This is a crazy good performance of some demented creature that, is called It, or Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Apparently in the sequel we're going to get some back history to him, and it's just a really creepy nature of what is going on here, and Bill Skarsgård does such a fantastic job with it that it's one of the most memorable villains in the last decade, if you want to put it in that perspective. But it's a movie that has a lot of great actors. There's a lot of actors and actresses that have gone on to do some more prestigious work, like Finn Wolfhard, who has gone to do Stranger Things and so on and so forth. And it's just a movie about kids who face their fear against all odds, who are not the popular kids, who are just there, they're friends, they do a lot of stuff together, and they create a bond that is, thicker than blood and is better than some of the relationships and some of the family dynamics that are in this movie. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And this is the cast of the movie, so I'm going to read it off for you. You got Jaeden Martell, who's playing Bill Denborough. You got Finn Wolfhard, who's playing Richie Tozer. You got Sophie Lillis, who's playing Beverly Marsh. You got Jeremy Ray Taylor, who's playing Ben Hanscom. You got Chosen Jacobs, who's playing Mike Hanlon. Shazam's Jacob Dylan Grazer, playing Eddie. You got Wyatt Oleff, playing Stanley Uris. And you got Nicholas Hamilton, playing Henry Bowers. And of course, we got Bill Skarsgård playing Pennywise. And it's crazy to see this cast because when you go into movies like this, especially with a young group of kids, you could have varying degrees of success. You could have a Looper and a Harry Potter, or you could just have some really crappy whatever, just like a Rim of the World style movie where it's just not very good. It's not the actor's fault, but it's just not a very good movie. And in this movie, we got the losers, this group of kids who, during this summer, I think of 85 or 86, because this movie actually jumped forward, because it was taking place in the 60s, which is what the book takes place in, but they wanted to update it so when It Chapter 2 comes out, it's more modern to what we know. And it deals with these kids in the 80s who were picked on by this character named Henry Bowers, and he has his group of cohorts. And in the process of what's going on, they start to see this creature, this clown or whatever you want to call him, and he manifests himself into these different things that they fear. For instance, Stanley has this painting on the wall that he fears, which is this weird shapely creature or character with a flute, and Pennywise manifests that into a real thing. And then of course, there's Richie and is afraid of clowns and stuff like that, so he uses that against him. And Bill Denborough, who loses his brother to Pennywise in a really graphic scene that opens the movie, which is very graphic in the book, and it's as graphic here in the movie. He is afraid of the fact that his parents, blame him. He's trying to figure out what happened to his brother, and Pennywise uses that against him. And Pennywise uses his Beverly's father, who's very abusive, against her, and the fact that she's mistreated as kind of the local, whatever you want to call it, just not a very good look to a character. And even though she's like very innocent, just she's from an abusive home, so Pennywise uses that. And you see this town, it has some kind of weird aura going around it. It has some kind of weird darkness going around it. Like the parents, the adults don't really care. They stay away from everything. They're very uncomfortable to watch. Henry Bauer's father is very abusive. Beverly's father is very abusive, and they really show it. It really shows how this monster, this whatever entity you want to call it, is corrupting this town of Derry. And it's just really interesting to see how it slowly ekes itself into the system, because according to what the book says and according to what this movie says, every 27 years, this entity, this clown, whatever you want to call it, manifests itself alive and wakes up from a slumber and feeds upon children. It feeds upon the fear of the city. And it becomes like a nature of like the beast. It becomes, what is your darkest fears? For instance, one of my fears is, of course, Ben's fear, which is, or not Ben's, but Richie's fear of clowns or dolls. Have you ever seen like Dead Silence, or any of those types of movies where there's like these creepy clowns? It's just the mannequins, dolls. It's just so of course, if I were living in Derry, that would be my fear. But it's just like, when you see how the bonds are set in this movie, you already have the characters, you already have, a group of kids, but Beverly gets into the mix and Mike Hanley gets into the mix, who is a character that is, because he's a different color, because he's a black character, he's mistreated because, the way things are going, the way things have always been, the African American character or the African American person is always mistreated, always downtrodden, always put upon as this person who is very abused against because of his nature of his skin, his nature of his creed, or what and so forth. And it's really sad to see, he's afraid of like killing these sheep who are being used for feed for meals and so on and so forth. And his, reluctance to do it also affects his fear of, that person who has to do things he doesn't want to do. And it's interesting to see how his story eventually develops, and all these characters develop because their fears are being manifested and being eaten alive by this entity, and they use that fear to eventually succumb the clown itself at the very end of the movie. And when you see the different scenes, when you see, for instance, he's in the library and being chased by a headless creature, and there's like eggs and so on and so forth, like little smoking eggs, and he's being chased around. It's just, you see characters that like slowly turn into like heroes. They turn into characters that are afraid, and they eventually become the heroes that they should be and the heroes that they're meant to be. And that's why they were able to stop Pennywise at the very end of the movie, which is really cool. But this movie does a lot of things that are really cool, that are very subtle and very interesting in its technique. For instance, when you look at this movie from angles, you see how Pennywise, or the entity, or it, whatever you want to call it, is infesting in the town. For instance, when I'll go back to the Ben scene when he's in the library. If you look, when he's looking at the pictures and he slowly sees the headless person on the tree, if you look in the background, and there's a lot of stuff written about this, but if you look in the background, you can see the librarian and the different people looking at Ben, and they're smiling, and they have that evil Pennywise smile that you see throughout the whole movie. And it's stuff like that that really, really is very, not only very cool, but it's really creepy, because there's also a scene where the Ben has been cut by Henry Bowers, and they're in the middle of the alley. They finally meet, Beverly's character, who kind of becomes friends for the most part. And they're talking, going back and forth, arguing, and all of a sudden Pennywise, on this mural of some incident that happened in Derry many, many years ago, you see Pennywise there staring at the kids. Just a picture of Pennywise. And it's pretty incredible, because you don't know it unless you see it. And there's stuff like that running through all this movie. There's, for instance, there's a clown doll that looks very much like Pennywise. There's just different things moving on that is really, really creepy and really, really fun to watch. And that's what makes this movie so unique and so effective, is the fact that you see these nice little touches that Andy Muschietti is putting into this movie. And Andy Muschietti is one of these directors I never thought would pull this movie off. I thought Mama was all right. It had a good performance from Jessica Chastain, but I didn't think it was that great. But then you go into this movie and you see everything that's being played out. And Cary Fukunaga was going to do this movie, but bowed out because of some problems with the scripting and so on and so forth. It really feels like this movie just was built in solid juncture of what this book is trying to do, which is facing your fears against all odds, against every nastiness that could come at you, you know, because we have unsettling fears, we have unsettling natures about us, we do things that we're not, you know, we're not proud of, and it's just an amazing thing to see. And the story, how it plays out, is very similar to what you're seeing in the book. Like I said, it deals with the kids stuff, which is much more compelling than the adult stuff, which we're going to unfortunately get in the second movie. But the fact that they built that, instead of having the adults flashbacking to the kids, here we just have the straight kids, which is an easier story to tell because it makes it more of a Stand By Me, or, you know, the Goonies, or anything of that nature, where the kids are, since they're so much more innocent than the adults eventually become, they are very susceptible to these horrors, and how they react to them is much more, I guess, much more realistic in a way than the adults will be. Because if you read the adult portions of these books, especially when you get near the end and you see all how it plays out, it's a little wonky. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, Beverly gets into an abusive relationship like she was with her father, and it just, if that's my only problem with this movie and the book in general, is the one girl that's in this movie is treated like a whore. She is abused by her father in really uncomfortable ways, and then she becomes an abusive relationship later on with her soon-to-be husband, or her husband, or whatever. And it just feels like that all these kids, especially the boys in this movie, even though their parents aren't the greatest of people, they have a little bit more substance to their characters, except for Eddie, whose mom is just straight up just, oh my God. I'm so glad I didn't have a mom like this, because she's so overprotective of her son that she makes her son think he has a lot of illnesses, which he doesn't. And it's an uncomfortable thing that I don't like to see. I don't like to see abusive nature. And it's a lot of times what Stephen King's problem is taking the kids, or no, taking the female versions of his characters and kind of putting them into abusive situations. You see it in The Dark Tower with the main female character in that. And you see it in like other things like The Stand, and, you know, so on and so forth, where these females are such, they can be written so much better, but they're put in these situations that I sometimes question. But Sophie Lillis in this movie is fantastic. She's one of the standouts in this movie, and she really conveys emotional hurt and emotional will to move past her situation, even though it gets into what we know in the future. But it's a movie that's just fantastic. You know, there's so many great scenes in it. You know, the scene with Eddie and the rotting drug addict or whatever creature, and with the balloons that are like upside down that go up. But like I said before I end, I've said it before, Bill Skarsgård Pennywise is fantastic. The best part about the whole entire movie. I hear he's still just as great in the sequel, or the second movie that's coming out. But he's a guy that embodies this character and does it so well that you don't see Bill Skarsgård anymore. You see Pennywise the clown. And when you see his mannerisms, his smiles, his laughs, it's like, you know, it's just really, really disturbing and really creepy. But like I said, the movie's amazing. It has an amazing score, and just has an amazing all-around cast. And it's just definitely worth the money it made, because it made $300 million, which was insane. One of the highest grossing horror films of all time. So, but that's it. That's my take on It Chapter 1. I can't wait for It Chapter 2. Hopefully I'll see it soon, but the hurricane's kind of throwing things into effect. But that's it. That's going to be my take on It Chapter 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell at the top, and comment below on this video. Tell me what you think of It Chapter 1. Are you excited for It Chapter 2? Tell me what your favorite part about It Chapter 1 is. But otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.